So I begin by getting my faux mantle set up how I want it. Some people like to actually put their garland up first and then decorate. For me, it's a little easier to get everything situated how I would like the mantle to look and then add my garland. So I've sort of paired things up in the same neutral kind of color palette, kind of this really icy, snowy, wintry scene. I have this piece that I picked up at HomeSense a couple years ago. I have just absolutely fallen in love with it, and it's made an appearance on my bookshelf for the past couple of years. I also added these little ceramic houses. These were from Target last year. I think you can find them there this year as well. I have one over on this side as well. And so what I've done is I've sort of offset the look of things. So on this side I have 2 trees, on this side I have 1, on this side I have 2 houses, and on this side I have 1. So you get sort of a balanced kind of look with the same pieces but different numbers, so it gives some interest without being too crazy. Now I also repositioned these houses. So what I did was I pushed this one a little bit further back and I brought this one up a little bit closer. And then this one is a larger size, so it's a little bit shorter and a little bit wider. So I would not have enough space on this side for 2 houses, so it makes more sense to put the larger of the sizes here, and then put the skinnier house and then the more regular size one here to fill in the larger space. As the backdrop for everything, I have this kind of barn board looking palette thing. On the other side is actually a painting of the American flag, but that just doesn't go with all my decor throughout the year, so I just added some chalk paint to the back to make it look like a palette that has been, you know, weathered naturally. I added a wreath here to the top. It's sort of got that same frosty kind of look that matches the little trees here. And then in the center, I've added this joy. It's got a bit of glitter on it, and it's hung by a wire, and I've just tucked the wire in behind the barn board. You can't see that wire from far away, just an easy way to attach it. So anyways, this is the top of the faux mantle. I got this bookshelf secondhand. It's a really solid, heavy piece. I could just use command hooks to attach my garland, but what I actually do is I use little nails or upholstery tacks. I just shove them right into the shelf itself, and the garland will hang onto those. If you are concerned, definitely use something like command hooks to hold your garland, and you can also use stocking hangers to hang your stockings. Now here is the garland. I already went ahead and fluffed it last night to get it all ready to go. Now this garland is very long, but what I like to do is I like to fold the garland in half and sort of double it up. That gives a more full appearance to your garland. So what I do is I just simply fold it right in half, and then I'm going to go ahead and twist some of these branches together to actually make it appear as one piece. So this is what my garland looks like as it's folded in half and twisted together. I've given it a bit of a fluff, but once it actually goes onto the bookshelf itself, I'm going to go ahead and really refluff it, but that's what it looks like for now. So here's what things are looking like from far away. I did pull the house down just so that I could put the garland on. I did put a tack in the middle of the shelf to hold some of the garland because it was just a little bit heavy in the middle without an extra nail or something holding it in. I just took and wrapped one of these branches around the nail, and that's what's holding it on there. It is really nice and secure, believe it or not. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some Christmas lights. So you could use some of those twinkle lights that are battery operated. I love those. I use those all around my house, but I tend to use those on smaller areas that are not quite as dense as a heavy garland like this. So I'm actually going to use actual Christmas lights. I do have a plug right back here so they can easily be plugged in, and I find that they give the most payoff when it comes to light when you're using a heavy garland. So I've got the lights on now. I still need to kind of refluff a little bit more, and you want to make sure that all of your wire is tucked deep inside of your garland. That is so important. Just keep fluffing. That's the beauty of using faux items, is that you can reposition things so that you don't see the wiring and different things like that quite as much. I'm going to share with you how I'm going to disguise this bit of light strand here in a little bit. But for now, this is what things are looking like. I'm going to share with you a few of the pieces that I'm going to add into the garland to give it a little bit more fullness and dimension and kind of make it match my Christmas tree. So this year I've decorated my Christmas tree with lots of red and gold, and as you can see on the shelf here, I've got a bit of red mixed in, as well as here on my pillow covers. So I'm going to add a bit of red into the garland to kind of tie things together and use some of the same elements that I have on my tree. But first I want to go ahead and put in some of these picks. Now you don't have to do this step, but I do like the pine cone that's in it and the berries, and I do like that they are flocked. And so in some of the areas where I can't hide the cord very well of the garland or of the light strand, I'm going to add some of these. And then in some of the areas where I just want a little bit more dimension. Now I only have 5 of these, so I'm not going crazy here with added picks, but I'm going to add those. And then I have some of these little guys. These are some of my favorite picks that you can find at Michael's. I'm going to add a few of these in as well. And again, it's just going to give it another bit of dimension, a little bit of twinkle, and a little something else visually to look at. So whenever you're adding any type of greenery into your Christmas decor or anything faux, whether it's spring, summer, or fall, you definitely just want to make sure to fluff it up. So you're going to just pull apart your branches a little bit and make it look a bit more natural. When these things are stored away, whether in your personal stash or at the store, they are compressed to give things the most space that you can store the most things as possible. So again, you just want to pull things apart ever so gently and make it look a little bit more lifelike instead of just one flat piece. Now, because I went and I've stood back on the other side of the room and looked at my garland, I could see some spaces that needed a little bit of attention to detail. So I'm going to go ahead and add these where those spaces are. I'm just going to simply just kind of slide it right in like that. And it's as simple as that. Now, when I've put this in, I've went ahead and I've just tucked some of the garland branches in and around the pick just to make it look like it's just all meshed together nicely, and it's just very natural. I don't look like I have something just sitting right on top of the garland. I have kind of pulled some of the garland in around the stems of the garland itself and sort of made it look like it was all one piece. Okay, so here's the garland with the added picks in. They're just seamless. You can't really tell that they're there. Here's one of those little bunchy ones that I really, really love, and you can probably see the other one here. It just adds a little bit of dimension into the garland. Okay, so now I'm going to tie in some of the elements that I used with my Christmas tree here onto the garland. And one of the things that I added onto my Christmas tree was raffia. So I am going to add some raffia into my garland here. So this is raffia. I just had all of this tucked into my Christmas decor. I used it several years ago and I just hang on to it. So I'm just going to kind of untie this bundle. I have a little bit more too, and I'm just going to kind of drape it into my garland here. Okay, so there we have it. I want it just to look organic and natural. I've just tucked it in and tried to hide any of the ends so that you really can't see them, especially here on the end of the garland. I've just taken and tucked all of the raffia ends in behind the garland so that you just really can't see them. Okay, so on our Christmas tree, it actually came with red berries and pine cones already attached to the Christmas tree itself. I've tied the pine cones in with some of those picks that I used, but now I'm going to add a few red berries to bring the red into the garland here. I don't want a lot of red. I just want a tiny little bit to bring the whole room together because I have a lot of flocking and a lot of white in this area of the room. I want to make sure that I bring in the red and gold that's on the Christmas tree and just tie it in together. So I have lots of different berries here. These are very large stems, and I actually used to put these into my Christmas tree a few years ago. So I have a lot of these, and I also have a lot of berries in this bag here. I've got a few that are like frosted, and I may lean towards these. I'm not sure which direction I'm gonna go, so I'm gonna kind of play around with things and figure it out, and then once I have everything placed, I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. Okay, so I'm kind of really loving how this is coming out. I feel like I could probably stop right here, but I'm going to add one or two extra little things. So on my Christmas tree, I have a ton of snowflakes. I have various colors of snowflakes, so there's gold and red and white and various sizes as well. So to bring that snowflake theme into my garland, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some of these snowflakes here. Now these I believe I picked up at Hobby Lobby a couple years ago, but you can find a very similar snowflake like this at Dollar Tree. I actually have Dollar Tree ones on my Christmas tree. These are a little bit larger and a little bit of a different shade of white, but I love these. They're so pretty. They don't come with any hanger on them, which actually works perfect for putting into a garland because all I'm going to do is just kind of shove these into the garland, and all of these little pokies are going to hold the snowflake really well. So let's go ahead and add some of these guys. So I went ahead and I put the house back. Now, when you have a large garland like this and it's kind of very full, sometimes your little items will get lost behind the garland. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to actually want to put things on risers. I've used books before, I've used planters, I've used all kinds of things just to raise the items up a little bit. Now I'm not going to do that with the little houses and the trees. They actually do stand out, but I was going to lose a lot of this church here if I didn't put it on something. So I just have this old candle holder, like you put like a large candle on top of it, and it is the perfect size just to put something on it to raise it up a bit, so that when you are on the other side of the room, you're not losing any bit of the church. Now to hide this light strand. I'm not doing this just yet only because it's a zoo in my house with all this stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take an extension cord and I'm going to plug the lights into the extension cord. And then I'm just going to tuck everything behind the bookshelf so that you're not going to be able to see these extra little bits of lights. In fact, I can actually probably just tuck them into the garland and you won't be able to see them. Now, because again, I don't care too much about this bookshelf, I could always put a little bit of a tack or a command hook or something back behind the bookshelf here to hold the cords away, or even just a little bit of painter's tape. So here is how the garland turned out. We used just a lot of dollar store items and things that I've collected over the years to make sort of this really wintry, snowy garland. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.